Hello there, hello there, hello there, every motherfucking buddy. How are we all? I am very well, I thank you for asking. A couple of programming notes before we even get going. Firstly, not on camera tonight. It's too fucking hot, so I need the window open, which means I can't have the light on, otherwise I'll get eaten by moths, and they will eat me alive. That is how it works. The carnivorous, not wasps, moths of Britain are well known, and the wasps are well fucking known. Jesus. Anyway, so you're getting soy jack, Kev, tonight. You're getting soy face, Kev, from last night. Fuck it, that's what's happening. Come to peace with it. Secondly, apologies if you can hear the fan in the backgroundy ground. I've tried to dampen the noise as much as possible with placing a t-shirt underneath the thing to hopefully absorb some of the shock so it doesn't transmit to the microphone, but I have no fucking idea. Is it hot enough for you to get malaria in Britain yet? No, although we don't need to, because you will die of cholera and or typhus because of the shit in the water. Yeah, that's a thing. Kev should get an AC unit. I'm not even from Milan. Ah, football jokes. Talking of Italian football, by the way, 98th minute equaliser. Fuck me. Italy are through. But that, of course, does mean that England are now through as well in the European Championships. Because we are now guaranteed one of the most ridiculous things, which is one of those third place finishes that gets you through. I don't know why the fuck that's a thing. That doesn't need to be a thing. Stop that. That's bollocks. But whatever, it does mean that England are technically through. So that's nice, I suppose. I suspected we'd get through anyway, but you know, we'll wait and see. We'll play Tuesday. Anyway, so yes, hello there, everybody. Yeah, the well, no, to be fair, hang on, no. The usual way of England winning barely. Look, to have qualified with a game to spare is not scraping through, is it? That's okay. We don't even fucking play till Tuesday. Honestly, the England fans need to get some perspective. And Solly, I don't even know if you are an England fan. I apologise, but England fans need to get something to their fucking heads. Our record at major tournaments is dog shit. Okay, we could and should be playing a lot better. Concurred, but our record is fucking awful. I mean, really unacceptably bad. I think it's something like we've won.
Stop it.
Well, thank you, Virgil. You're quite correct. It's not called foosball, don't be silly. Okay? First Hitler and now this. You Austrians are incorrigible. Anyway. Right. England's record at major tournaments is dog shit. We have won, I believe I'm right in saying, 2 knockout games outside of England ever. Ever. Our record is awful. So just us getting out of the group is itself actually fine. It is fine. Well, that's what I mean. We won 1 World Cup, but that was in England. Outside of England, we've won 2 knockout games ever. It's fucking atrocious. Now, that is slightly misleading in the sense that we've drawn some games that we then won on penalties and or extra time, but that's regardless, right? Regardless. England fans need to get some fucking perspective. Kev for England manager, if England don't win the Euros. Well, I don't want to be England manager and I'm not qualified. Literally, I don't have any badges. So, yeah. We always think we're brilliant, but we're dog shit. Don't get me wrong, right? I genuinely think England, if we ignore the past, if we just look at the quality of the squads on offer, I'd actually say England have the best squad there. I think we genuinely do. And that's not just because I want us to win or whatever. I genuinely think... I mean, Bellingham has been the best player, I think, in the world this season. Now, of course, Gareth Southgate's turned him into a bag of shit. Lest we forget. But you've also got, like, Harry Kane, one of the best centre-forwards in the world. You've got such a plethora of midfielders that we can leave £100 million fucking Grealish at home. That's the thing, you know? Why, we actually won games on penalties? Yes, we have. Yeah. We won against Colombia in the 2018 World Cup on penalties. Who else did we beat on penalties? We beat Spain, although that was in England, so that again that wouldn't really count anyway. But we did beat Spain in Euro '96 on penalties, so it has happened, just very rarely. It's a mass delusion disorder that this time it's different. England will win a major tournament. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we will win. I don't expect we're going to win. But I just think if you were a neutral looking at the quality of the squads on offer, England are definitely one of the favourites. Now we always manage to bollocks it up, at least in part because this time we've got a manager who seems to want to just destroy any creativity that those great players have. But there you go. Yeah, there's a lot to like about that England squad, but they're just, you know. I guess Southgate wasn't playing then. In '96 he was playing, yeah. He actually missed a penalty. He made me cry, the prick, that sent England home. I say missed, it was on target, it was saved. Who was it Matthias Sam? No, Matthias Sammer? I can't remember. Anyway. Anyway, regardless. Hello there, everybody. Right, let's get the shilling out of the way and get some fucking content on the bash. Right. Hello there, everybody. If you're on the Twitch machines, you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can gift subby subs to the community. It's a great way of supporting the channel. You can do bits messages, 200 bits or more will get you a text-to-speech. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below. You can do, yeah, that's $2 there, and we'll get you, yeah, $2 or more gets you a text-to-speech. You can help me out on Patreon and or PayPal. You can go over to the Discord, YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hello YouTubers. You still can't give me money because YouTube are fucking dog shit. YouTube are the worst, but they will get back to me eventually, I'm sure. Fun times. Anyway, you can hit the like button and you can subscribe to the channel. You can leave a comment after this is up if you're watching it later. Or you can come over to twitch.tv/KFLogan. And do the things that I just mentioned a second ago, which I won't go through again. We don't need that nonsense. I'm not going through it again. I'm not. Mainly because I can't remember it once, let alone fucking twice. Jesus Christ. Anyway. So. We're going to stick with a little bit of British politics. We're going to focus on a couple of things that stood out to me today. And by that, I don't mean the continuing Gamblegate nonsense, which we've covered plenty over the last few days. But you get the idea. There are more Tories under investigation by the Gambling Commission. Rishi Sunak has said he won't suspend anybody, but one of his former ministers, Tobias Ellwood, who I think was in the last Parliament the head of the Defence Select Committee in the Commons, right? So a reasonably high up, well respected, although I don't fucking respect the cunt, but whatever, member of Parliament and a kind of Tory, I don't know, generally liked within Tory circles, Tory MP, came out and said they should be suspended. So literally, like, there's like disunity in a political party, there's absolute disintegration, and then there's the Tory party. They've taken it to a new depth that we didn't think realistically plausible. I mean, besides a fucking assassination attempt, I don't know what else they can do to undermine Rishi Sunak. Well, I don't know what they can do to him that he hasn't already done to himself, of course, because leaving D-Day was itself a political assassination of himself. Technically, if you're Prime Minister and you commit suicide, that's assassination, right? I think that's how it works. I don't know. Anyway, he did that. But yeah, that's what's been going on with that. But that didn't even stand out to me today. What stood out to me were two things. Firstly, the Green Party. Big day for the Green Party. We'll get to it in a second. But also Wales. Yes, Wales. Because there have been a series of programmes on ITV called... what the fuck are they called? Bollocks. I can't even remember now. It doesn't matter. And they've been doing leadership interviews, right? So they've interviewed Rishi Sunak. They've interviewed Sir Kid Harmer, or Sir Queer Harmer, or Sir Kid Starver, or Sir War Crimer, all of that. Keith, as I like to think of him. And then they did a show today where to just underline how much the Westminster establishment couldn't give a fuck about actual either democracy or the regions of this country, they had 4 party leaders on today's show being interviewed in a half an hour. It's a half an hour show. Yeah. Anyway, they had Farage on, and they had not Carla Denyer. Fuck's sake, I'm literally about to show you an interview with him on a different fucking program. His name is fucking hell, Adrian Ramsey. He's the co-leader of the Green Party. Now, I don't think they should have co-leaders, but not because I can't remember 2 fucking names, but because I think it's confusing for people who aren't even nerds on the subject. But regardless of that. Right. They had Carla Denyer on. They had John Swinney, the leader of the SNP, and they had Rune ap Jorwerth. Yes, that's right, motherfuckers. I can sort of say his name now. Who's the leader of Plaid Cymru, the Welsh Independence Party. Anyway. It shows you how little they think of those smaller parties, even though they're going to get a substantial percentage of the popular vote. Albeit, of course, on the first past the post, they won't get that same number of seats, naturally. But regardless, the fact that they had the leader of the Scottish National and Welsh National parties wedged in there at the bottom, and not in that way, shows you how little they give a fuck about it, and how much, like, it just makes such a good argument for those parties to be like, see, England doesn't give a fuck about us. We are at best an afterthought, and that's when they even think about us at all. To the point where, in the introduction to that show, they said, we're interviewing Nigel Farage, we're interviewing Ramsey, we're interviewing we're interviewing John Swinney, and they didn't even mention that they were interviewing Rune ap Jorwerth. They didn't even mention him. The Welsh were just ignored, and then given like a 2-minute slot halfway through, like, just, yeah, there you go, Wales, we've technically covered you, you cunts. Like, that's it. That's all they gave them. And it's disgusting. Honestly, the lack of fucks given about those other supposed co-equal nations, or co-equal countries within the nation, whatever you want to describe it as, within the Union, is disgusting to me. That is really telling. And so I thought we'd focus a little bit on Wales. I thought, maybe I haven't covered it enough as well. Maybe I'll throw a bit of Love Wales' way. We've talked a little bit about Scotland, I think, during the shows, especially yesterday because they played football. So it felt relevant, very relevant. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about Wales. So we're going to take a look at the first of some Question Time Leader specials. So when we get to that bit, I will have to stop the YouTube broadcast, but that'll be like the second half of the show. So the Question Time Leader specials, where they've got the leader of Plaid Cymru, Rune ap Jorwerth, being asked questions by the audience in wherever the fuck this is. Where is this? It's somewhere in Wales. One would think Cardiff, just because it says BBC Cymru Wales there. So, and I think that's where they're based. So, but I don't know. Anyway. But that will be the second half of the show. The first half of the show will be on both platforms. Yes. The Green Party. Big day for the Green Party. Right. Major political parties don't need to think about, like, being recognised as major political parties. Hang on. Hang on. My dog is from Wales. She finds it undermining to be acceptable. Okay. That was confusing to me. The United Kingdom, a term that sounds more sarcastic the more you say it. Basically, yes, yeah. Anyway, for the smaller political parties, like both, I suppose to a lesser degree, Pride Cymru and the SNP, because they exist as major parties in their respective regions, but for national parties that are smaller, like the Green Party, like Reform or its predecessor UKIP, like to a degree the Lib Dems, who've been in government for in recent times as the coalition, even though that's evil and bad and they don't want to talk about it, that did happen, and so you'd think they'd be more well known. But for all those political parties that are national, that are smaller, brand recognition is huge, right? So you need to get eyes on you. You need people to even be aware that you're there. And I know brand recognition makes it sound kind of cynical, kind of like it's a corporate endeavour, but to a degree, you do have to think of it on the scale, right? The scale of tens of millions of people. You're not just dealing with like a council seat, where a few hundred votes here or there can make a difference. We're talking about trying to appeal to tens of millions of people. And so being known, being aware, the phrase is brand recognition, right? That's what companies talk about, when you're a market leader. That's really important. So just getting yourself out there for people to see, for people to be aware that you're like a possibility they can vote for, and informing them a little bit about who and what you are is important. And the Green Party had a big day in that respect today, because they had, firstly, a party election broadcast. Now, for those who don't know, in Britain, party election broadcast is paid for by the public, but it's not partisan in the sense that it's airtime in 3 minute. It's a 3 minute slot, basically a 3 minute advert that your political party gets to put out there. It's played on each of the what were formerly terrestrial stations, although terrestrial TV isn't a thing anymore. It's all digital now. But on the 5 major former terrestrial stations, so the 5 big free-to-air TV stations, twice each day, twice on each station on that day, and it's based on your previous voting. So the 2 major political parties will get most of that, most of the days during the election, because they got most of the vote in the previous election cycle. But if you garner enough of a vote, you get one of these, and it's electioneering that the Green Party couldn't afford. That's how expensive that would be to actually do that of their own volition. They couldn't afford it, and it's a way of trying to sort of level the playing field to a degree and try and take out the problem you have in America with political advertising, because this is the only political advertising that's allowed on TV during an election cycle. Okay, during the 6 weeks of a general election, there is no political advertising allowed on television. In fact, there is a strict legal onus, even on political programming, to be neutral and unbiased during the process. They obviously can slightly stretch that term and slightly stretch the boundaries of what's allowed, but basically speaking, they have to pretend to give a fuck about impartiality and neutrality, right? So the only political advertising you will get is, and this would be a massive relief from the American electorate, I'm sure, where basically during an election it's a political advert, erectile dysfunction, political advert during the ad break. So you get 3 minutes to put your message to the country. The Green Party are not a particularly big political party, so I think this is the only electoral the party election broadcast that they will have in this election cycle. So they had 3 minutes, or a 3 minute slot to fill, to sell to the nation, basically, and to get their face and their name out there. Brand recognition and all of that shit. So I thought we could take a look at that and let you see what we think. Here we go. Right. So this is what played on all of the major stations today.
Now, a party election broadcast by the Green Party.
When I speak to people on the doorstep, they tell me they're worried about our crumbling health service, the crisis in our housing, the scandal of our rivers and seas full of sewage. And it's increasingly clear the country is not going to put up with this anymore. The Conservatives are on their way out at the general election because people want change.
But it's also really clear that the tweaks that Labour's proposing, with half measures and broken promises, just aren't going to cut it. Not with the multiple crises that our country faces.
True.
And that's why voting Green at this election...
Also, a bit of love for Palestine there. We just scroll back. They don't mention it directly, but... hang on.
crises that our country...
There we go. Carla Denia, co-leader, ceasefire now, Palestine. Love it. Because it really hasn't been an issue. It really just, the Palestine thing has not factored at all in the campaign. It's barely been mentioned at all. So just a little bit of love. Yeah. Oh, did you, Madcat? Oh, that's a I'm sorry about that. Did the wind change? What? What are you talking about? Oh, my face got stuck. No, I'm just not on camera tonight, so you're getting soy, Kev. It's just a thing. Are you saying it's not an issue? No, I'm saying it should be an issue, but it isn't. Unfortunately.
Country faces. And that's why voting Green at this election will have such a huge impact.
Because with more Green MPs in Parliament, we will push the next government to be more ambitious. Get them beyond their timid baby steps and towards real hope and real change.
See, that's, again, just having their names there, the MP candidates' names on TV, is massive. Just that alone is like advertising that they couldn't even buy. That's beautiful.
For our country's future.
That means defending and restoring our NHS. We all know our healthcare system is severely overstretched.
Because the thing is, this will trickle down as well, because in the local newspaper for wherever these people are sitting, because they're not allowed to say this is the candidate for X, Y and Z, they can just say MP candidate. So let's say they're standing in Gloucestershire, I don't know. Then the local Gloucestershire Gazette will print, oh, the local candidate was on fucking national TV. Whoop whoop. Again, advertisement you couldn't fucking buy. Like, who, you know what I mean? Like, that's really, really big opportunity for them to put themselves out there. And I think they did pretty well, actually. Green had a target of 4 MPs, but I'm thinking 2 at most would be a success. Yeah, I think 2 would be a success. It would double the number, you know? And to be honest with you, even if they only end up with the 1 again, it's a matter of trying to embed yourself in these local communities. Because the thing with first past the post is, as the Lib Dems find out, even if they increase their vote overall, if they don't increase their vote in individual seats that they're targeting, then they fucking can't win. So, it's a matter of... pardon me. If they can embed themselves in those seats and put themselves in a better situation for next time, then they can try and win. Especially given, at the next general election, the Labour Party won't be so popular. And they're not massively popular now, but they're going to win because the Tories are so hated. But the Labour Party, after 5 years of, like, tinkering at the edges and then going, wow! Wow, nothing fucking changed. Who'd have thunk it? Doing the exact same thing that the Tories were doing led to the exact same outcome. I'm shocked. And people will be like, yeah, you fucked it up, mate. You're a bunch of cunts. And the Green Party, with hopefully better embedded party structures in those local areas, will be primed, hopefully, to take advantage of that in the next election cycle. And then, as we've seen with Caroline Lucas, once you get yourself embedded and you start to really build a local party in a seat, you can start transforming into, not a safe seat, because the Greens aren't big enough to have safe seats, but a seat where I'd be surprised if they lost that seat at this election. Which is mad for a Green party, right? That there's even a seat where you're expecting them to win is advancement for a party that was only started in 1990, lest we forget. This is not some fucking well-entrenched national infrastructure party. They have to start building those structures up. And that's kind of beautiful, yeah. And that's what they hopefully they'll be able to do. So don't be disheartened if they don't get more than one seat at this election, because it isn't necessarily about this election. It's about trying to build the party more for the future. And depending on how it goes over the next few years, I might be tempted to join, if I'm honest, because I've been very impressed with them so far. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not perfect, not by a long shot, but you're not expecting perfect. I want good. Good, I'll take good over absolute fucking ghoulish shittery, which is all we're getting from fucking Labour. Kev, are you going to stream election night? I am. Indeed I am. I'm going to go on at about 9 and do some, like, preparatory shitposting stuff, and then at 10 o'clock when the polls close, they'll have an exit poll, and then the kind of fun can start, as it were. I'll definitely be on. Hopefully I'll be on with No Justice, but we haven't really talked about it, so I don't know. But that was certainly the plan at one point. But she might be on with Navarra or some shit. I don't even fucking know. The scum of the oldest. Yeah, the Tory party are the longest lasting extant political party. Yeah, they've been around for like fucking 300 years.
We would invest more money into our NHS than any other party and stop the move towards privatisation.
Boom, that'll win votes. That sentence will get leftoids be like, oh, yeah, they're going to stop privatisation. Okay, yeah, I could go with that. And that's who they're trying to get to. Like, to a degree, they're trying to be mainstream, of course, but like, sucking up some leftist votes in seats is good. That's positive. The Labour Party have abandoned those people, so why not scoop them up?
We would ensure an NHS dentist within easy reach of home for everyone and guarantee rapid access to a GP. And we'd put in the funding needed to attract and keep the staff our health service needs. That's real hope and real change.
At the moment, a warm, secure home is out of reach for millions of people. To end this crisis in housing, we would put a stop to no-fault evictions and bring in rent controls to curb the spiralling cost of renting.
That's huge, because again, the major parties have abandoned renters completely. They've abandoned, and not renters as in the slightly crass euphemism, people who rent houses, or rent homes, whatever, have been basically abandoned by the Labour Party. Their policy this week, their disgusting policy, because you remember when I said, when we were listening to the Question Time Leader Special, where they said, where Keir Starmer came out and said that the Labour Party would end the, quote, bidding wars for rentiers. And I said, well, it'll depend on how that actually works as to whether that would be a good policy. They've already said that they would, quote, allow voluntary overspending. So in other words, completely undermining that concept of not having a bidding war, because people who own properties will just only let to people who voluntarily pay more than the market rate. So you're not going to do anything. You lied. You're not going to actually stop the fucking bidding war. You just want that headline of pretending to have wanted to stop the bidding war. You fucking snake. You leechy snake fuck. Good night, username was sent to. What would involuntary overspending look? I don't know, as Friends Rust. I don't know.
We would make sure new developments come along with the bus routes, the schools, the libraries needed to build communities so that it's the right homes being built in the right place at the right price. That's real hope and real change.
For lots of us, enjoyment of our beautiful rivers and beaches is being affected this summer by the scandal of sewage dumping, with the water companies profiting from failure rather than investing in our water systems.
That's, again, really good point, because the Labour Party have a kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge agreement that this is basically just the way it is now. That people are just going to have to put up with shitty water. Because they're, like, we know who the Labour Party serve, and it's not the people of the country. Of course not. It's rich bastards, and rich bastards own water companies. And so the Green Party saying we're going to nationalise water companies, yeah, dope. Let's fucking go.
We would end this once and for all by bringing water companies back into public hands.
Fuck
That's
yes.
real hope and real change.
We will champion all these things and more, so we can go back to feeling proud and supported and secure in our country. There is a genuine choice.
Hang on, you're literally going to New York to work in 2025? Oh, that's fucking dope. Does that mean you're just not going to be around anymore because you're going to be on American time?
At this election, between skirting around the edges of the change we need or driving it forward with more Green MPs in Parliament.
So vote Green on the 4th of July, because the Greens are offering something that no other party is. Real hope and real change.
That's fucking wholesome shit. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
That was a party election broadcast by the Green Party. Party election broadcasts can be viewed on BBC iPlayer.
Yeah, we get it, mate. Shut up. Anyway, good stuff. So that was huge for the Green Party today, and I thought was generally pretty positive. There was a slight thing of like the right homes in the right place. Is that almost a dog whistle to the NIMBY thing? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being hyper super sensitive and critical to the situation, and maybe it's not that at all. But either way, yeah, I was already going to vote Green, but yeah, next summer, 8 weeks working with New York City. I'll be around. It's only 4 to 5 hours. Oh, that's fucking dope. Well, enjoy New York, as friends Rust. Although as a New England Revolution fan, I do have to say, fuck New York City FC. Yeah, I said it. And what? If they're so green, then how come they dropped this nuke? True. Fucking true. That's a really good line, Entropy fan. Much love. Anyway, another thing that happened was that their joint leader, Adrian Ramsey, was interviewed on the Panorama series. Now, this was, of course, the series of interviews with the leaders, being interviewed by Nick Robinson, the former BBC chief politics correspondent, who's still like a bigwig in terms of BBC political output. And it's the series of interviews that saw Nigel Farage outed as a Putin dick rider and all of that. So it's a big series that I think will, again, it's a national platform. That the Green Party, again, you can't actually, you literally can't buy this kind of advertising. It's 30 minutes of, I mean, being grilled pretty hard, right? Nick Robinson is not a fucking idiot. He's not necessarily the worst journalist by any stretch of the imagination. So it's difficult, but if you do reasonably well, it's a great platform to be able to get your message out to people that would otherwise be difficult to reach. So it's a massive opportunity. Let's see how he did.
We've all got a big decision to make about who leads the country for the next 5 years, about who has power and influence in Westminster. You get the opportunity to have your say in the election on July the 4th. Over the past 2 weeks, we've heard from the leaders of most of the major parties. Tonight, it's the turn of the co-leader of the Greens, Adrian Ramsey.
Let's fucking go.
Adrian Ramsey, welcome. I'm going to make the same promise to you that I've made to all the leaders who sat in that chair, which is everything you say over the next half hour or so will be broadcast in full. I want you to have the chance to make your points, but I hope you'll answer the questions that are about topics that people have told the BBC they care about, and you've not had any advance warning of what those questions are. Let's start with a general question about the Greens.
Yes.
Who the Green Party really is. Now, obviously, you're a party that wants to save the planet. We're going to come to that very soon. But sometimes you look like a party who wants to save the countryside and get us all recycling, and other times it looks like you want to tax the rich and march against the war in Gaza.
Why are those two things mutually exclusive? Why? I'm not frozen. Let it go. That's 2 days in a row I've done that fucking joke. I'm not on camera today. Is it confusing for people to just have the still image? Because I can just get rid of it. I can just get... If it's confusing for people, I can just get rid of the fucking image. I just thought it was a fun, like, oh, it's Kev doing the soy face as the camera. Where the camera would usually be. Anyway, the point being... Nick... I keep trying to call him Nick Griffin, and he's not that fucking right-wing. It's fine. Okay. Nick Robinson has asked a really stupid question there. Why is it? What is remotely incompatible with wanting to tax rich people to look after the countryside and march against the war in Gaza? Those are both things I support, and they don't. There's no conflict there. The conflict in Gaza. There's no conflict with inside myself as to those two beliefs. That's really stupid. Having said that Nick Griffin, fuck me, oh god, my brain. Having said that Nick Robinson is not the worst journalist in the country, he started off really looking like he wants to contradict my statement there by asking a very profoundly stupid question.
Who are the Greens?
Well, the Green Party is a party that wants to think about what really matters in life. How do we measure success for society? And for me, that's about having a society which is more equal and where people can access the public services that they need. The big issue that people raise with me on the doorstep in East Anglia and across the country is that our NHS is severely overstretched. People can't get access to a doctor or NHS dentist when they need one. We need to tackle the scandal of sewage in our rivers. We need to
okay, I'm taking the
that.
picture away. Fuck it. People are getting distracted by the picture. Jesus. You fucking people. You make me sick. Right. We're not having this. This is a serious political show. Shut the fuck up.
Natural environment. And we need to rethink how we run society so that we are supporting people who are the worst off, who have really suffered under the cost of living crisis, as we all have done. And we need to invest in that transition to a green economy with all the benefits that that will bring, both for tackling the cost of living crisis and for addressing the biggest issue of our time in the climate emergency.
Well, let's start with that, because that's what most people will associate.
Again, I will just say, and because I want to be fair here, if it's the biggest climate emergency in the world, tell your local MPs to stop opposing fucking solar panels and wind farms and stuff in their local area. NIMBYism will kill the fucking world.
You with that transition to net zero. Philosophical question. In order to have gain for the planet, do we all have to share a little bit of pain?
Well, quite the opposite, Nick, because we're suffering pain at the moment, aren't we? That we have extortionate train fares in the UK.
Is this a
far higher
recording?
than other
Yes, this is a
countries. So if we
recording.
invest in our rail network.
I'm not doing this live at all. This is a recording. And I predicted that you would ask that question at this exact moment. So, can you prove otherwise? I don't think so.
Could be bringing down the cost of people's train journeys and making the greener option the cheaper and greener option. Same with our food supply, that the shocks we've seen in the economy, in international fares, have exposed the fact that we're too reliant on international imports for our food. And if we were to support our farmers to produce far more of our food locally, as farmers want to do, the farmers I speak to in Suffolk and around the country say, we want to produce more food locally, we want to do it in a nature-friendly way, and we're proposing to put the money into that. So whether it's about energy, where renewable energy is the cheapest energy to produce, if we put that money in, whether it's about insulating people's homes to bring those bills down.
That's interesting.
It's really about helping tackle the cost, the root causes of the cost of living crisis.
That is an interesting claim, that there's no pain. Let's go to your manifesto. Here it is, Real Hope, Real Change. It says, the Green Party manifesto.
Can I just, was it always this way? That the country was so filled with, I mean, to use the internet parlance, massive fucking pussies? Yeah, there's going to have to be some fucking pain. Yeah, we're going to have to pay some taxes. Yeah, it's not always going to be fucking perfect. Didn't we used to have a country where you'd people were prepared to make sacrifices for something better? Do you think anything good that ever fucking happened in the history of the world happened without any sacrifice ever taking place? Do you think any great thing, literally name anything good from history or from the present day that happened where no one had to put any fucking effort in? Well, I'm not even talking like the Blitz spirit, because I think that's an overly used, like, and I'm not saying you're necessarily doing that seriously, but like, I think the Blitz spirit is an overused, a kind of a red herring in a sense, because it wasn't really a Blitz spirit as such. Like, things were still pretty fucking bad, and people did moan a lot. So, like, and rightly so, the government weren't doing enough, and their houses were being bombed and stuff. So it's, you know. But regardless of that, I'm not even asking for something as good as the mythologized Blitz spirit. Just a basic semblance of, like, not even solidarity, just sense. Just basic fucking sense. That if you want to achieve something, you have to put some effort in. You have to make some sacrifices. Again, you can decide as an individual or as a society the level to which you're prepared to make a sacrifice for the potential outcome. But you're not just going to achieve anything easily. The country wasn't built easily. Prosperity is not built easily. You have to fucking work at that shit. You have to put resources in to get a fucking outcome. Oh, and yet the fucking dumbass British media want to play the dual game here of saying, on the one hand, why won't you fully cost these things? Why are you ignoring the black hole in the public finances? Why is the international the IFS coming out and saying that everyone's ignoring the costings and blah 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 blah, and then saying every time they put forward any kind of costing on a thing, well, that's going to cause some pain in the country. Oh no, that's going to mildly inconvenience people in the home counties. Oh no, we can't have any kind of mild inconvenience of people in the country to achieve anything. No, what we need is just a continuation of managed decline. And then going, why is there managed decline in the country? Why are things getting worse constantly? Because of cunts like you. You set the political agenda. You set the fucking timeline. And it's the dumbest timeline imaginable. You had a cheat code when building colonialism. True. Are you suggesting, therefore, KSO, we need to re-invade India? Because I think it might be more difficult this time. I think they might be able to defend themselves a bit more effectively on this occasion.
Let's turn to one of the things it says. Mm-hmm. It says in there that what you want to do is scrap every petrol and diesel car, every single one, in the country within a decade. How many cars is that? Do you know?
Well, what we're looking at there, Nick, is how we transition to a green economy, and every party.
Do you know how many cars it would involve scrapping?
Well,
oh man, oh Jesus Christ! Again, Nick, we know that's a lot of fucking cars, you dumb cunt. Whether it's 10 million or a squillion. Yes, it's going to be difficult. Again, there are going to have to be sacrifices. Things aren't fucking easy, you daft bastard. And again, they want to play it both ways. Why aren't you doing enough on green policy? And then every time they do a green policy, do you know how that's going to hurt the country? I'm sorry, Lord Smithington on the fucking heath will have to give up his Rolls Royce, his chauffeured Rolls Royce, into the city every day to the stock exchange. This is an outrage. You fucking daft bastards, man. Honest to God. They said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I don't think it is. I think it's paved with fucking utter inane stupidity.
Clearly it would be tens of millions, wouldn't it?
It's about 30 million cars that you'll be scrapping. Is your message to people here, if you've just spent 10, 15,000 on a new petrol or diesel car, and you might feel that you have to because of where you live, that's it. It goes. The Greens are going to take your car away.
No, that's not.
Yeah,
our
it
message
really
at
is.
all. And
It's the destinification of fucking politics. Just do dumbass gotchas. Just do dumbass gotchas and stupid shit like, oh, maybe they're making cookies into rockets.
in fact, it would be 2035.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap and so silly. This is journal again. I said that he wasn't the worst journalist, and he isn't the worst journalist. But I think that tells you something about the kind of level the worst journalists are at.
Before we were looking at getting to that point, and in the meantime, the popularity of electric vehicles is growing, and that needs more investment and support to bring the price down. And indeed, if we say from 2027 that new cars need to be electric cars, then that means there's going to be lots of second-hand petrol and diesel cars for some time.
Yeah, but there's still people who've just bought a car, and the message is not that long in the life of a car. That's where they're going to end up, on the scrap heap, because you're saying, unlike all the other parties, they've all got to go.
Well, from 2035, and actually other parties were saying that until recently, but we want to give the sector, in this case the electric vehicle sector, but it could equally about renewable heat, it could be about renewable energy. We want to give those green sectors confidence, and what the government has done in recent months is to pull the rug away from underneath those sectors when we have huge economic opportunities here.
But you're
and
going to have
huge
to pay, aren't you,
opportunities
to do this? We have so-called scrappage schemes. We asked the AA.
Oh no, we're going to have to pay to effect a big change in society. Wow! It's not like we're a £1 trillion economy, you cunt. It's not like we've got, like, I think I'm right in saying the most billionaires per capita on Earth. No, it's fine, it's fine.
Hey,
Yes.
we showed them your policy. We said to the AA, what do you think that would cost? And they said if you have the current incentives to buy electric vehicles for 30 million cars that you want to scrap, they put the cost at £86 billion. That is a lot more than the cost of all the schools in England. They described the policy as an impossible dream.
Well, we do need to put money behind supporting people with that green transition.
Now, that is a lot of money, but I will also say the AA aren't necessarily a company without skin in the game, so to speak. But I'm no doubt it would take a lot of money, yeah. And by the way, I'm not even suggesting that their policy to do it in 10 years is viable. I don't know exactly how long it would take, or what would be a realistic time frame. But I think it's something that does need to be done. But no, it would inconvenience people in Surrey who want to use a fucking Land Rover to drive 3 miles for their children to fucking school.
In all sorts of ways, and we've showed in our manifesto exactly how we would fund that green transition, and we need to think about the economic benefits of doing so. Huge job creation opportunities, whether that's in renewable energy, which is the cheapest way to produce electricity and can bring our bills down, whether it's in public transport, because a transition like this can only be done and should only be done if we at the same time put the investment into, for example, our rail network, which is one of the most expensive in Europe.
But I'm asking whether it's possible and whether it's affordable. Let me ask you about another ambition that's contained in this manifesto. And to be fair, the UK Climate Change Committee, which advises all government, talks about it, the need for us to eat less meat in our diet. Cutting the amount they say about...
Oh God, Nicholas. What are you fucking doing? I gave you... I mean, I didn't really blow smoke up him or anything. I said he wasn't the worst. And he seems determined to try and prove me wrong. So anyway, let's talk about issues. Are we going to have to eat the bugs? Are you going to force us all to eat tofu, you fucking communist? Oh, just fucking end me, man. We live in the dumbest world possible.
Fifth in a decade, by a third by 2050. Now, what that means to most people watching this programme is in here. 2.5...
He's got a fucking butt. Oh, shit. Oh, Nick. Oh, Nick. I gave you the big up saying you weren't a fucking cunt. And now you're going to bring out... Is this a burger box? You went down... You got a fucking intern to go down the chippy to get a fucking burger box for you for a prop? You know, you're speaking to a guy who wants to be Prime Minister. No, he's not going to be Prime Minister. He's the fucking co-leader of the Green Party. But, like, in theory, that's the level you're speaking at here. And you've brought a burger box fucking prop. The fuck is this a fucking game show? Is this? I mean, actually, that's a point. I've said this before. It basically is a posh boys game show. It's a posh boys fucking world, isn't it? It's just rich posh boys who went to private school dicking about. Whether it's as the head of fucking BBC politics programming or as the Prime Minister. Fucking Christ.
Billion of these burgers are...
He's got a burger. Can I just... Can I just say, he's got a burger. Nick Robinson, the serious journalist, has got a burger. He's brought a burger to an interview to wave a burger in the Green Party's man's face. He's got a burger. A burger is what he has. He has, in fact, in his possession, a burger. Burger Boy brought a burger to the fucking political burger! Post the link and timestamp to this, please. Okay, well, I can do... hang on a minute. Where is this thing? Copy. The timestamp is 6 minutes 29. You'll just have to remember that. I can't be bothered otherwise. But the link is... Hang on, I'll reply to you. I presume you've got memes in mind, and I'm more than happy to assist on the memeage. Anyway, as I was saying, burger. Borger. We live in the dumbest timeline. Dumbest timeline, stupidest timeline ever. Burger Boy, burger. Fucking... my will to live has disappeared. Fucking cunt. You couldn't have just said 1 million burgers are eaten. You had to bring out a fucking prop and wave it in his face like a cunt. You are a cunt. You are a stupid fucking cunt, Nick Robinson.
Eaten every year in the UK. Are you saying that to save the climate, we've got to ban the burger, or we've got to make burgers a heck of a lot more expensive?
You're a fucking dickhead. Why? Oh God, I've done the commentator's curse on it, haven't I? Because I promise you, I didn't pre-watch this. I knew I wanted to watch it on air, so I didn't pre-watch this. I did pre-watch part of the Welsh leaders thing, which we'll be watching later, but I didn't pre-watch this at all. I gave him the big up, said he wasn't the worst, and so far he has conducted one of the worst interviews I've seen. He's not holding a sandwich, he's holding a burger. An actual fucking burger. I mean, technically is a burger a sandwich, I guess, but like, specifically, like a beef burger. So anyway, apparently beef burger communism, let's go.
No, neither of those proposals are in our manifesto. What is in our manifesto is supporting our farmers to produce far more food
but
within
I'm not
the
asking
UK.
just what you put in an election sales document. I'm
Well,
arguing that the Greens have always argued for eating less meat, so in the end, would it have to be more expensive?
As I say, that's not a policy that's in our manifesto, and our manifesto is about what we want to put forward for this next 5 years.
Ask him about the colour of his pants, Nick. Ask him about the fucking measure of his feet. Ask him how he likes his scrambled eggs. It's just as fucking relevant. Ask him about the fucking upholstery on his fucking couch at home. Ask him how he likes his tea. It would be literally just as politically relevant as the slop you are serving up here. This is politics. This is politics in 2024. This is the fucking level we're at. No wonder the country's going to shit. We're being led by fucking morons. Waving burgers at fuckers. Oh. oh yeah, if gender comes up, he just starts waggling a cuck about. Are you saying he just goes right onto topics? Lots of people have said they don't want these in dressing rooms. They don't want these in public changing rooms. And he just brings out a human penis. He just whips his own cuck out and it's just like, do you see this? Do you see this? You see this item? This is a penis. People have said they don't want this in a girl's changing room. What say you? Is the penis going to have to become a lot more expensive, or are you going to ban the penis? Unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable.
I'm sorry,
which
Mr. Ramsey, that's
involves
misleading.
working-
Your manifesto talks about a carbon tax. And a carbon tax is a tax on everything that produces carbon dioxide, which could heat the planet. And one of the main sources are cows. And therefore, the argument is you have to tax. It's a Green Party policy. It says we want a progressive transition from a diet dominated by meat to one with a higher proportion of plant-based foods by public education and the
I
operation.
don't know, Bobby. I don't know why I did record
So,
this.
so our carbon tax that we're proposing for this 5 years in this manifesto doesn't include farming, and that's because we're putting positive incentives to support farmers to transition to support producing more food locally, more nature-friendly farming. That's what farmers in the NFU and local farmers that I speak to in Suffolk tell me all the time. More and more people are choosing to have food in their diet. That's something that's happening anyway. But we're talking about how we can make the farming system overall more resilient. And one of the big points there is about what proportion of our food is actually produced in the UK.
Sure, but it's also about price, isn't it? That's what a carbon tax is. It would be a tax on meat.
Okay, that's you. Why did someone send me 2 lions? Fucking. Wayward. That's weird. Thought you'd enjoy Vogel's work. Not safe for work. Yeah, not safe for work. That's 2 gay lions. Fucking. Investigate the burger.
It
True.
would be a tax on cars, be a tax on every delivery to your house, be a tax on many of the things that we buy and consume. And you say you could raise £90 billion in tax from a carbon tax. And the think tank, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, they say it would be impossible to raise that sort of money without the effect being felt by.
The Institute for Fiscal Studies, the obvious neoliberal shithouse. Brilliant. Awesome.
This is the key phrase. Felt by everyone. Everyone would pay more for something as a result of the carbon tax.
So what we're proposing in the carbon tax is a tax that hits the big polluting companies.
Yeah, we've literally reached the meat tax level of nonsense now. Fucking meat tax. You can tax my fucking meat, lad.
Causing the climate emergency that has a huge impact on people on poorer incomes. So a tax, for example, on high polluting imports of goods that undermine British manufacturing. We want to support low carbon British manufacturing. We also want to have a carbon tax on those big polluting companies. And actually ordinary people are suffering from the fact that this government is not acting on these issues. We have escalating energy bills, escalating food bills, extortionate train prices.
But you're not pretending
and
that
if
the IFS are wrong,
let me be
are you?
clear, if the Green Party policies were implemented...
I am. I'm saying the IFS are a pile of shit. And the fact that they're held up as if it's fucking gospel or something is ridiculous. Again, it's just more posh boys backing up other posh boy shit. That's all that's happening there. It's other privately educated, privately schooled Uxbridge wankers backing up other privately educated Uxbridge wankers to back up neoliberalism because that's what they've decided must be true. Because Thatcher said so.
Be able to produce cheaper electricity because renewable energy is the best way to do that.
Forgive me interrupting, but here's the problem, Mr. Ramsey. You're saying to people, no pain. These guys who monitor public spending say, massive pain for everybody, potentially. Or you've got to compensate them all so that we get more money back.
Let me quote back
which
to
will
you.
cost a fortune.
Let me quote back to you one of the things that...
Oh no, people will have to pay tax. We could just, tax rich people like you, Nick. That'd be fucking cool.
The IFS has said today. They've said that introducing a carbon tax, for example, relating to energy, wouldn't work unless you were also insulating...
No, this guy's the co-leader of the Green Party, so an actual, lefty.
...homes. And that's one of the main things that we're proactively saying, that we need to, first of all, put in place the measures that help people reduce their bills. So we're proposing a nationwide programme to insulate people's homes, which can bring bills down, keep homes warm. This is about supporting ordinary people by actually tackling the things that are pushing up the cost of living. Because if we live in a resilient, more resilient way, well,
yeah, all of which cost money. What the fuck do you think doing nothing would do? Do you think that's free? The existence of humans costs money, you prat.
Let's go to the cost.
Can I just be clear? Time and time again, experts, economists, climate scientists warn us that the costs of not tackling the climate crisis are far greater than the costs of tackling, and that's the costs to the exchequer, to the government, and the cost to individuals, because people are forking out.
Yeah, I hope Helena hasn't been watching this. I really do, because she'll have had a fucking heart attack. She'll have had an aneurysm, a heart attack, and shit out a kidney by now, with the fucking rage. I hope she's just on a beach with the fucking sangria, with her fucking trotters up.
Energy bills, because we have the leakiest homes in Europe. The energy's going out of their doors and windows because we haven't insulated
so everybody
people's
can have
homes.
warmer homes, everybody can stop eating meat, and it doesn't cost us any money. Let's talk about the cost. Now, you do in your manifesto say that the total cost would be £145 billion a year on day-to-day spending. The total cost of all the things you want to do, which is a vast sum of money. Now, these numbers are baffling to people, billions of numbers. So forgive me giving you an illustration and giving people at home.
Oh, he's got another fucking prop. He's got a burger, and then I don't know what this is. What the fuck is this?
Say they would spend each Lego brick.
Yeah.
He's got Lego. Oh my fucking god! What you just heard there was my earphones slamming down. I needed to take them off. I just needed a moment. I just needed to separate spiritually from this. He's got Lego bricks. He's got a cold burger and some Lego bricks. That's Britain in 2024. That's British political discussion in 2024. You know, emerging democracies in parts of the world send people to Britain to get ideas about how to form their democracy, and I can't help but feel that that's just an element of garbage in, garbage out, it would appear. No, you shouldn't come here. I told Christy this, don't come here. Nothing good can come of it. He's building a children's park, basically, yeah. If he brings out a slice of fucking cake and a fucking bouncy castle, I wouldn't be surprised. And here we have a bouncy castle, and I'm going to jump up and down on it to simulate the up and down of the market. But you don't believe in markets, do you? Why are you going to tax the burgers? Here's my penis, gender, Lego bricks. Fucking... This is aggravating. This is fucking irritating to me. I said he wasn't the worst, but he's honestly, Nick Robinson is proving that he might be the worst. He's been hiding his shit power level all this time.
Is £1 billion.
Yeah.
They say they'd spend £5 billion. This is what the Conservatives say they'd spend on tax cuts. Some people disagree with these numbers, but this is what they say they'd spend.
Yeah.
That's £17 billion. This is what the Greens party say they'll spend. It's an...
That is definitely some amount of Lego bricks. Bravo, Nick. That really added something to the equation. Is this a bit? Is this a skit he's doing now? Is this a prank someone put him up to? Someone in the office went, I tell you what, burger. Yeah, burger. Bring out a fucking burger on him. Wave a burger in his fucking mush. And then someone went, no, I bet you. Fucking Lego bricks, mate. Lego bricks. You won't be expecting the Lego bricks.
Absolute fortune that you're promising to spend. Way more than Jeremy Corbyn promised to spend.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
Way more than Liz Truss did in tax cuts.
Yeah,
and
good.
you're asking people to believe that they can spend all of that money, £145 billion, without consequence?
You're right, Nick.
Who the fuck said without... Hang on, whoa, time out, home slice. Who said without consequence? Who the fuck has ever said without consequence? For a start off, you have to raise at least some of that money through taxation. So there's a consequence. Also, the whole point of governmental policy is to have consequence, you daft cunt. The reason they want to spend that amount of money is they want to take off, according to you, 30 million petrol-powered cars off the road. There's a consequence. They want to stop the climate from literally frying the fucking planet. There's a consequence. They want to privatise water companies. There's a consequence. The whole point of having government fucking policy, of having public policy, is to affect consequences. Do I need to explain this to you in the form of children's toys or fast food? Because that does appear to be the level of politics we're at now. Maybe I need to do like a Punch and Judy puppet show for him. Hello there, I'm the Prime Minister. No, you're not. He's behind you. Taxation. How does it work? You know, just cracking Bill Gromit.
Nick, to highlight the difference. Why is there such a difference? Because we have an NHS at breaking point that requires substantial investment, and the Nuffield Trust has been clear that the Labour and Conservative proposals that you've outlined here...
Sorry, nationalise water, not privatise. It was already privatised, that's the problem. They want to nationalise water. Apologies. I was trying to set up in my mind doing a Punch and Judy bit. Apologies. That's where my priority is. Not correctly defining the actual policy at question. No. Set up the childish joke to make Nick Robinson look worse. That's what I was going with. As my number one priority there. And I apologise for nothing.
NHS worse off than it was under David Cameron's austerity. We need the transition to the green economy in a way that tackles the cost of living crisis, as I've talked about. We need to invest in our schools that are crumbling and where teachers don't have the money to spend on the things they need to provide our children with a good education. And let's look at this in context, because the GDP to tax ratio that the Green Party is proposing would take us closer to where the average European country is. We're right at the bottom of the...
Just to translate that for people who don't use GDP to tax. What I'm talking about is the share of the economy that's taken up by tax. And let's talk about tax.
Let me finish that point. Yeah. So the share of the economy that goes into tax for the UK at the moment is near the bottom of the European League table. What we're proposing would move us up, but we would still be below where France and other countries are. Well, and so actually it's Labour and the Conservatives that are way out of step with what other countries are doing. The IFS, Institute for Fiscal Studies, has been very clear that the next government is either going to have to cut public services or increase taxes. And so the Green Party is the only party being honest in this election that says that actually by European standards we can make fairly modest changes to the tax system, asking those with the broadest shoulders to pay modestly more. But what would we get from that? Because at the moment people have...
I think he answered that question pretty well. And I think it's very telling that Nick Robinson scoffed. He guffawed at the idea that we should actually pay a little bit more in tax and we'd still be paying less than in France. And he's like, because again, the posh boy doesn't want to have to pay any more tax. They don't want to be inconvenienced in the slightest. Kev is building the wall and he's getting the Danes to pay for it. Well, after the Viking shit, it's the least we deserve from the Danes.
Let me ask you about the policy
you've
just mentioned.
What it would bring?
Yes. When I ask you a question, if I may, which is you've said you want to hit the people with the broadest shoulders, and in particular, for people who haven't read the manifesto, there's a proposal for more tax on the rich, 50 to 70 billion.
Let's go.
You could raise from taxes on the rich, in particular a wealth tax.
That's right.
Can you name a country that has raised anything like the sorts of sums that you say you could raise from a wealth tax?
So there are other European countries that have introduced wealth taxes.
That wasn't the question. The question was, has anybody raised anything like that money?
We've been working closely with academics and experts around a range of models for how a wealth tax could work, and we've been fairly cautious in the model and in the assumptions that we've chosen around that. And again, on the day that our manifesto was produced,
allow me, cautious, that would suggest there is a country that has ever raised anything like the sort of money you're saying for the wealth tax. But the answer is there isn't, is there? 12 European countries introduced wealth tax. 9 of them, including France, got rid of their wealth tax. 3, Norway, Switzerland and Spain, still have them. They raise a fraction of what you're saying you could raise.
Well, there was a particular problem with the way France introduced it, which is that it set the starting point too low. We're proposing a wealth tax starting at 10 million. So if someone has 10 million in wealth and assets, we'd ask them to pay 1%, just 1% of that wealth and assets back into society. And this is about what's...
Yeah, this again, it's just posh boys defending posh boys. So rich people don't have to pay that tax. So it's just like, oh, they'll just leave. No other country's been able to do it. So the tax dodging pricks can just jump from country to country, and everyone else has to pay the difference. It's just scumfuckery. The neoliberal brain rot has infected the entirety of the British establishment. It's a damn shame.
Sort of society do we want to have, Nick? Do we want to have a society where we ask the very richest to pay a little bit more so that we can tackle the fact that our hospitals are severely overstretched?
Providing you could raise the money. The reason I ask you the questions about other countries, it's all very well plucking big numbers out of the air, saying that you could raise them, but if no other countries...
It's all right plucking big numbers out of the air, but do you even have the Lego pieces to demonstrate that to me? Because if not, I can't understand those numbers. I don't even think you've done the Lego mathematics on this. Show your Lego workings.
Ever managed to do so. And if people who are very wealthy here think we'll leave Britain to go somewhere where there isn't a wealth tax...
Okay, that's fine, but you're not taking your money with you. We'll freeze your fucking assets and you can go. See ya. Toodles.
All of this spending, all of that, you haven't paid for.
Nick, let me look at what external experts have said about the Green Party manifesto. So Aaron Advani, a University of Warwick professor, was quoted by the BBC the day our manifesto came out. One of the first BBC comments on the manifesto was that it's economically credible, and that's because we're putting forward a set of proposals which, yes, are very different to Labour and the Conservatives, because there's a conspiracy of silence, to use the words of the Institute for Fiscal Studies, between those two parties in not being willing to be honest about the investment that's going to be needed if we're to support our NHS and social care, if we're to tackle the scandal of sewage in our rivers, if we're to transition to a green economy and ensure that people can actually bring down the costs that they're facing. And you know, the average
you've quoted
person...
experts, Mr. Ramsey. It is important because you've quoted the Institute of Fiscal Studies. The conclusion...
Yeah, and they didn't even do any Lego. Pricks. Fucking amateurs.
They came to today was that
I am the foremost Lego economist of the nation, Nicholas Robinson.
had radical ideas which can realistically make a difference, they said. And they compared you with Nigel Farage's Reform Party. And they said, these ideas are, and I quote, wholly unattainable and help to poison the entire political debate. You're promising things that can't be delivered.
Yes, giving people hope is poisoning the political debate. Bravo, Nick. You have proven me incorrect earlier. When I said you weren't the worst journalist, you basically are. Bravo. You really have lowered the bar enormously. Look, I'll just answer you directly. The comparison of the Greens to Nigel Farage's Reform Party is fucking farcical. Anyone who does it can be ignored, safely, in the knowledge that their expertise in the matter is zero. They don't understand things. We should ignore them. Moving on.
Well, and I've quoted to you what other experts have said welcoming our proposals, other economists, financial experts who've said the Green Party is bringing in a different way of thinking that by European standards is actually fairly normal, and we can't expect to have the level of health services, the quality of education system that other countries have if we don't put the investment in that's needed. And I think people are looking for a choice in this election.
I want to give you the chance to talk about how the Green Party might use power. Currently got one MP. You've been clear you're hoping for 4. There are Greens who've been in government or
4 would be awesome. I'd love that.
supporting governments right across Europe. In Scotland, where there's a different voting system, makes it easier for you to get elected. It's a system that might one day be introduced.
Easier to get elected? You mean it's more representative of the people's will, rather than the tight-knit boys, old boys fucking network of Uxbridge wankers at Westminster? Yeah, you mean that? Okay, cool.
For the UK as a whole, Greens have been in government or supporting government. So I want to get a sense of what you might do beyond these big questions of climate and tax and spend. Now, the Greens in Scotland are a separate party, but they launched a controversial fight to change the law so that men could declare themselves to be women without involving a
Oh,
doctor.
for God's sake, he's going to whip his cock out. Oh, what did I say? He's going to get his little schmeckle out. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh. Is he going to get out a Lego cock, do you reckon?
So-called gender ID. I simply want to ask you whether you've learnt from the row. Have you learnt from the decision to send a rapist called Adam to a woman's prison after he changed his name?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Motherfucker. You were a member of the Conservative Party as a young man. You are a member of the party of rapists. The Conservative Party is the party of rapists. They're literally not even sending them to jail anymore. Not that they were in particularly prodigious numbers anyway, but regardless. The idea that you're like, actually it's the transoids that are the threat to women. No, you. Cisgender, white, straight man. You are the threat to women. You.
Him and changed his gender and asked to be called Isla. Have you learnt from that?
Well, as you say, the Scottish Greens are a separate party to the Green Party of England and Wales, and there's lots of things the Scottish Greens have achieved in government, whether that's on record investment in renewable energy, on reducing child poverty through the Scottish Child Pavement, whether it's on improving public transport.
Yeah, he was the head of the Young Conservatives, wasn't he, I think? Hang on. Yeah, he was a member of the Young... He was, I think, head of the Young Conservatives at Oxford Uni or something. Nick Robinson... Nick Robinson. Oh, he's actually from Macclesfield. I didn't know that. Political activism. Robinson was a founder member of Macclesfield Young Conservatives and rose through the ranks. Hang on, here we go. To become blah 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 blah. Actually, did he go to Oxbridge? Yeah, he did. Yeah, no, University College, Oxford. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Where are we? When Robinson was elected chairman of the National Young Conservatives. Yep. At university, he was president of the Oxford University Conservative Association in 1985. So he was a Conservative under Thatcher during fucking Section 28. Do you know what I mean? Fucking crazy shit. You know when Margaret Thatcher was massive friends with Jimmy Savile? Do you remember? Do you remember that? Yeah? Okay.
Transport and making buses free for under 22s, all those things that the Scottish Greens have achieved in government, I'm very proud of. Now, this issue that you talk about on gender recognition and some of the knock-on impacts of that, that's something that was supported by all 5 parties in the Scottish Parliament.
Well,
and
forgive
there's now...
me, having made the point of the positives,
Yes.
what's the answer to the question?
Well, my
have
answer
you
to-
learned?
Also, by the way, they are technically a different political party. The Scottish Greens and the National Greens are different political parties. Now, of course, they are linked. They are sister parties, if you will. Although one doesn't wish to gender them, of course, because that would mean they'd try and lock them up in only a women's prison or something. I don't know. But if I called them brother parties, they wouldn't be able to go for a piss anywhere, probably, I imagine. Yeah, they're sister parties, but they're not the same political party. So asking this guy, who's co-leader of the National Green Party, to answer for the Scottish Greens is a bit fucking ridiculous, really. Is this just propaganda peddling on the BBC? Pretty much, yeah. It's honestly, I've been very disappointed with Nick Robinson in this. Like, I told you at the start he'd get a grilling. Like, Nick Robinson wasn't going to let him off lightly, but I didn't expect him to, like, fucking rub a burger in his face and throw fucking Lego about the room.
It's about a male rapist called Adam going to a woman's prison when he said he was called Isla and was a woman. Have you learnt anything? Or are you still saying J.K. Rowling is wrong? We need to push ahead on gender self-ID, and if we have power in Westminster, that's what we'll argue for.
Well, let me make 2 points on this, Nick. First of all,
Okay, yeah, no, he was okay. He might not have been the National Conservative Youth leader, but he was still a Tory party member after the passing of Section 28. Chill.
Answer your question specifically, yes, I think there has to be learning for all of society on the way these changes are made, and ensuring that all spaces, whether they be prisons or any other public spaces, are run in a way that is safe for everybody involved, preserves people's dignity, is absolutely paramount. And the government has been clear, male-bodied people should not be put in female prisons, and personally I would support that. And my second point I'd make is that this whole...
So even actual trans people, because I think the problem with this guy was that they were trying it on, basically, as far as I'm aware. So trans people cannot be actually considered to be the gender they actually are if they're a prisoner, is the point you're making. So you're just playing into the same transphobic game. It's not as bad as Rachel Reeves' shit today. Where the Labour Party have offered to meet J.K. Rowling to give her assurances on women's rights, because apparently she's like a person that needs to be taken seriously on political matters. Fucking mental. Labour's Rachel Reeves said the party would meet with Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling to provide her with assurances of the protection of women-only spaces. Yeah, exactly. She endorsed the Communist Party, for fuck's sake. What the hell? The Shadow Chancellor made the offer after Rowling said at the weekend that Labour had abandoned her and were campaigning for women's rights. She's not campaigning for women's rights, she's just a transphobe. And the fact that you would honour her with this shit, like, get fucked. Do you think I'm ever voting for you cunts? Honestly, you think so? Go fuck yourself. They are desperate to court her, Solly. They are desperate. But as I said on Curtis's show the other day, there's no fucking way in this world that you can compromise with them. They are lunatic fundamentalists. They want to see trans people eradicated from public spaces, and probably in some cases eradicated from existence. I'm no doubt there's actual genocidal intent from some of them. And unless you give them that, unless you give them fucking everything, they're not going to be okay with that. So just ignore them. They're loud and annoying, but just say they're wrong, here's why they're wrong, and move on with your fucking life. The Communist Party have told her to fuck up. Really, doggo? Have you got a link for that? I only learned about this on stream yesterday, by the way, the communist thing. The Communist Party, yeah, they've told
Ladies
us to
and
fuck
gentlemen,
off. That's dope.
we got him! Victory is ours!
Important, valid, and relevant tweet. Let's have a look. Concern has been expressed. Oh, okay. Okay, we've got an official thing from the Communist Party of Britain. Again, this is the party that Miss Rowling endorsed yesterday. Concern has been expressed about a tweet issued by For Women Scotland on the 22nd of June 2024 and retweeted by J.K. Rowling. The tweet reproduces an unofficial summary of Communist Party policy, namely that, quote, we, the CP, not that kind of CP, oppose all forms of conversion therapy applied to lesbian and gay people, and we oppose including trans identities in such a ban, unquote. The Communist Party does indeed oppose all forms of conversion therapy applying to lesbian and gay people. We also support banning regressive conversion therapy targeting trans people. For the avoidance of doubt, the Communist Party supports the right of trans people to medically transition, to have access to healthcare, and live equal, full and meaningful lives, socially, economically and politically. We believe that such liberation will only be possible under socialism. Wherever possible, corrections to this effect have been sought, where this inaccuracy has been reproduced. The Communist Party have gone woke! No! The Communist Party have fallen to the wokerati. No! Joanne, do you ever get the feeling that you're so fucking toxic that even the communists don't want you? That even the Communist Party of Great Britain, who are filled with some absolute gobshites, by the way, even they're like, no. Let's, no, we don't want anything to do with this bitch. No. Literally, just take the thing there about the trans people. Nah, just, no. We don't need her stank on us, okay? We don't need the fucking wizard lady fucking stink near us. She's fucking mental. Fuck her off. Amazing. Well, you know what? I didn't think I'd be saying this tonight. Well done, Communist Party of Britain. Bravo. That's a perfectly fine statement. I don't know that they're very good on trans issues beside this, because that's a really generic statement. How would they actually apply trans rules if they ever got the opportunity? Who knows? But this is a perfectly reasonable statement that I can get behind. Good stuff. Is there a difference between the CPGB and the CPB? They are different political parties. There are similar issues, unfortunately, in some regards. Although apparently trans isn't one of them, which I thought it was, but regardless. The CPGB-ML are the real, like, out there lunatic, Putin dick-riding, anti-trans crowd. Whereas it would appear the CPB might just be Putin dick-riders, I don't know. Let's have a look. Do they ride the Putin schlong? I don't know. God save the... I thought they just retweeted that unironically. They've got the eyes, okay. Power to the French proletariat. Death of the Queen. Elizabeth Windsor has died. Okay. Not a word from the EU... Oh, yeah, so they're Putin dick riders. Okay. So they've still got that in common with the CPG-BML. They're still gobshites on that. Fun times. Thank you, Sasha Dimitri, for following. Welcome to the Kevolution. Hello, first-time chatter. Why do people think the youths against Biden is about the Israel when it is mostly just not wanting to vote for someone who does poo in public? And why the young people all do the Biden to poo as a TikTok trend? I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what that means. You might be a mentalist. You can still hit the follow button if you want to, but you might be a mentalist, is what I'm thinking. Don't forget, if you're also a mentalist, you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can do bits messages. You can give subs to the community. You can do super chats messages. You can help me out on Patreon and or PayPal. You can hit me up at the YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Bebo, MySpace, Pinterest, DeviantArt, OnlyFans, and Pornhub. I'm not on Pornhub, obviously.
Discussion, as so many people have said, has become highly toxic in a way that ignores the fact that we have...
I'm a refugee until she gets... Well, thank you, Mr. Satnav, for having the honesty to just say, I'm here because a better option isn't available. Fair enough. You know what, I'll take it. Algorithmically, it can only help. Thank you. Good night, Pandanus. Much love.
Have very high levels of violence against women and girls. We have a gender pay gap in this country. We have growing rates of hate crime against trans people.
Those are separate subjects.
They're not separate subjects. You've made a lie. No, I haven't got a DeviantArt. Those last few were just made up, Mr. Satnav. These are not different issues, are they? They're not different issues. If we're going to talk about the protection of women and girls, then you have to talk about that from a much more wide perspective than just, oh, the transoids, because the transoids aren't a fucking threat to anyone. They're not a threat. They are, in fact, actually overwhelmingly victims of crime, largely at the hands of cis white men again. Actually, not necessarily white, but cis men. Although in Britain, with the white majority, I suppose they are, but race isn't necessarily the factor here. Trans people are the victims of violence, the victims of sexual violence at the hands of cis men. Cis men, not necessarily Nick Robinson, but cis men like Nick Robinson and cis men like Adrian Ramsey are the threat. And so the fact that neither of them want to mention that and are going to play into this narrative that actually trans people and women's rights are somehow incompatible is ridiculous. And it just goes to show that neither you or the anti-trans lobby actually care about the rights of women and girls, because all you want to do is bash on trans people who aren't a threat to women and girls.
My point is we need to have this discussion in a way that's calm and evidence-based and
I
doesn't
think I've
just
asked you a
seek,
calm
doesn't
question.
just seek
Let me ask you
headlines.
another question, which is equally controversial, the whole issue of migration. Nigel Farage thinks it should be called the immigration election. The Green Party says its long-term aim is for a world without borders. No borders, no immigration control, anyone can live wherever they like. How would a world without borders work?
So that's not our policy in our manifesto that you were quoting earlier on.
It is your policy on your website.
Well, I'm here to defend and promote our policy for the next 5 years of what Green Party MPs
So you
will
don't
push
believe
for
in
in
a world
Parliament.
without borders?
What I believe is
God, you're a fucking tool, mate. You realise there's possibility of having a principle of a long-term objective, like, say, a world without borders, or peace in our time, or an end to hunger, or an end to homelessness, which is a thing that, I mean, actually, those two could be achieved relatively simply, but realistically won't be, unfortunately. So you can have like a longer-term goal that you don't think is achievable in the next 5-year parliament, so you put forward policies that you think will get you to a better situation, which makes that longer term goal slightly less longer. But it's still not something you're planning on doing, because how would you even enforce that? Let's say the Greens somehow win the general election and he becomes Prime Minister along with Denya or whatever, or there's some sort of vice situation. I don't know. Anyway, there's some sort of deputy Prime Minister thing. How would they enforce a world without borders when you're the head of one country? You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it, right? So it's not a question that needs to be asked right now. How would that be achieved? I don't fucking know, mate. I don't plan on seeing it in my lifetime, or yours. So why are you fucking worried about it? I mean, I'd also like to see humans have the ability to fly, or see through fucking brick walls or something. But I don't think it's going to happen. And we don't have a policy to make it happen, so move on to something relevant. I mean, what's his prop for this one going to be? I don't know. Some sort of Action Man doll. How would you stop Action Man from invading across the border? Here he is, he's on the table next to the fucking burger and the fucking Legos. You prat. Reform UK got their candidate's name wrong on flyers. His name's Mark Mulverhill and they spelt it Mulhill. Okay, that's kind of funny. Yeah, they're kind of dumb. But typos happen.
that we need to uphold the UK's long track record of being a safe haven for people who are fleeing war and persecution or poverty or changes in the climate, and amongst other countries we need to play our role.
That's true. He was arguing for a world without borders when it comes to the movement of capital, so that rich people being taxed can just move their money to the Cayman Islands. That's fine. You don't want borders there. It's a very good point.
In welcoming people who are fleeing persecution, and that needs to ensure that there are safe and legal routes.
Mr. Ramsey, is a world without borders as a long-term aim, and I'm asking you, what does it mean? How would it work? Anybody can move here?
Well, as I say, that's not our policy in this manifesto.
But it is your policy.
He'll get the brown Legos. That would be one hell of a dog whistle. If he just says, this represents the British people, and he brings out, like, he spills a cup of white Legos on the table, and then he goes, in a world without borders you'd have lots of people coming in, and he just tips out an even larger cup of brown Legos onto the table. That would be amazing. And actually just so accurate of how seemingly the government sees immigration, bizarrely. Ah, fucking hell.
The reason for that is that at the moment there are growing numbers of people who are risking their lives fleeing their country because of war or persecution or poverty or climate change, and we need to address the root causes of that. That's got to be the starting point. So that's why the Green Party is alone in this election in saying that we would restore the international aid budget that the Conservatives controversially cut to tackle growing inequality around the world. We'd put the investment into climate finance that supports poorer countries to adapt to the changes in the climate.
Okay,
we need
so
to look
if
at
that
why
works,
people are fleeing
sure,
their homes.
If that works,
I'm not being debated by is the king dead conversation, okay? He's obviously not dead. Shut up. Don't threaten me with a good time, okay? I'm not being debated into that.
and you say, we're dealing with the problems of how people leave their homes, we're going to deal with the climate crisis, we're going to deal with wealth inequality by international aid, then the Green Party policy, I repeat, policy, doesn't matter whether you put it in the manifesto, it's policy, it's on your website, is a world without borders in the long term, isn't it?
Well, our manifesto
In the long term, Nick. In the long term. You will never ever see that, obviously. So why are you talking about it like it's a thing?
is about what Green MPs will push for in this next Parliament, and we've got to be pushing the new government to be bolder on all sorts of issues.
Yeah,
on this issue,
many
the
people think
issue
you
is
become a
that
party of the
there need
radical far left.
There need to be safe
The
and legal
radical far left. Radical.
routes to asylum for people who are fleeing war and persecution, and
Okay.
we need to work internationally to play our role.
Apparently,
and
it's now radical to not want your water to have shit pumped into it. That's radical in today's Britain. That's how far right the fucking Overton window is shifted.
supporting people and being welcoming.
Eat my hat, but I would say a very strong no.
Oh, bollocks. Can we remember where
Supporting
oh, there we
people.
are. Thank fuck.
And being welcoming where that's needed.
I'm hearing you, but I'm also hearing you say that you clearly don't agree with your own party's policy. You just think the manifesto is better. There's another thing you should push for, and all these things matter because if you have power in Westminster, you may have power to deliver these policies. Your manifesto says you want to create a legally regulated market for drugs. To be clear, does that mean legalising all drugs and then regulating them so that people going to music festivals this summer are getting the message vote green, and you will be allowed to take cocaine, cannabis, ketamine?
So let us look at why we have this policy.
Let's
and
answer the
specific-
question, if
and-
you
and
wouldn't
specific-
mind.
Well, let's look at
Yeah, yeah, okay. Why are you saying that like it's the scariest thing in the world? You know, other countries have done that. And it brings down rates of death, transmissible diseases due to like sharing of needles and stuff. Like, yeah, it can actually work. Yeah, okay. I'm prepared to give that a go. It's not like our drug situation's so fucking super awesome we can just leave it. Like, the current situation isn't working. Let's try something different.
what the policy in our manifesto says. It says that we would introduce an independent commission on drugs to address the fact that the war on drugs has failed. We have growing numbers of people who are addicted
Also, yeah, he
to
did the posh thing of saying cocaine rather than like cocaine. Cocaine. It's really interesting because it's posh boys like him that take cocaine regularly because it's very expensive.
drugs, often harmful substances. We have a huge amount of power
It's
in the hands of
wankers in the Tory backbenches that take cocaine, or indeed in the front benches that take cocaine, as pointed out by the Beast of Bolsover. Pointed it out brilliantly, didn't he? That the only thing growing in the 80s were the lines of coke in front of George Osborne, or Gideon, as we should call him, because that is his fucking name. Oh, but Beast of Bolsover is Dennis Skinner.
criminal gangs that are profiting from that. And we need to see drug addiction as a medical issue, not as a criminal issue, to support individuals who are addicted, to regulate those drugs, which, as I say, are in the hands of criminal gangs. And let's look through this independent commission at how other countries around the world have introduced more enlightened policies that do actually support people who are addicted.
Sure. And lots of people have argued that. House of Commons Select Committees looked at deregulating drugs. But I'm asking you a specific question. Beyond the addicts, who you might manage to treat as a medical problem rather than a criminal.
Oh no, but don't mention any of that to Anna Kasparian about Portugal, because apparently she's determined that Portugal, it didn't work because of one study that was bollocks. Yeah, she's gone to the right. What we got here? Live in a city of zombies, Kensington, Philadelphia. Okay. That seems like a weird thing to bring up, but thank you. And then we've got Popper. We can do Popper. I'll take a look at the other thing offline and see what the fuck it's about. But we've always got time for Popper. Look at that big silly face. Absolutely adorable. Let's fucking go. I need this dog to understand that I would kill any creature in the world to defend it. I would give my life to defend this creature, and it needs to know that. I need it to be told. Fucking yes. Well done.
Problem. Your policy is still legalised drugs. Your co-leader, Carla Denyer, said we want to see a legalised, regulated system for drugs. So I'm asking you to explain what would that mean for someone who's not an addict but says, I want to take some cocaine tonight.
Cocaine.
I'd like to smoke some cannabis.
Cocaine.
I'd like to take some ketamine to a music festival. Are they legal or are they illegal?
Well, that will depend on what the...
Well, it's illegal now, if that's what you mean, you prat. Just play with the Lego, Nick, and let the humans talk.
The independent commission that we want to set up establishes, because it's got to be an evidence-based...
Can someone get a colouring book and some pens for Nick? We need to occupy him for the next 20 minutes while the humans talk.
...decision that is made. We are making the point that
they could be legal.
For so-called softer drugs, that the police spending lots of time pursuing individuals for possession is not necessarily the best use of police time compared to all the work that the criminal gangs profit from that situation. So there needs to be an evidence-based approach on this issue.
Now, I suggested to you a moment ago, but I didn't really give you the chance to answer. I will in a second, that some people look at some of these policies and think you're a party of the radical far left. Let us come to that.
Radical!
You, like all parties, have had some problems with your candidates. And everyone who sits in that chair tells me the same thing. Nigel Farage did a couple of days ago. Well, we can't supervise all the candidates. The election was called in a rush and there's going to be an independent...
What Green candidates got fucked on? What was that about? I missed this.
Inquiry. You did, in the Greens, drop a candidate who tweeted his hunch that Israel had paid Hamas to carry out the atrocities on October the 7th. You still have candidates on ballot papers next to the words the Green Party. One liked a tweet that said Israel must be eliminated. Another likened Israel's supporters to Nazis. Another claimed the victims...
I mean, I will stand by that. People who defend Israel often do behave like Nazis. Yeah.
Victims of the Holocaust had turned into the predators. And finally, one likened Hamas to the resistance in France in the Second World War. Why are these people all attracted to join and stand for the Green Party?
Well, first of all, Nick, none of those comments you've quoted are ones that I would make or in any way condone. And as you say, the Green Party has had situations where there were candidates who were originally selected. Questions have been made about comments that they have made themselves or they've liked on social media. And in 4 cases, the party has taken action to which has resulted in those candidates no longer going forward.
And why are they attracted to your party?
Cocaine.
Well, I'm not going to get into talking about individual candidates, because if there are questions raised about candidates, then there is a process for them to be investigated, and there may well still be current investigations ongoing,
so
which is independent.
Yeah, we've devolved into they like to tweet thing. Yeah, I know. It honestly, is that any worse than the burger thing though? I don't know.
From the party leadership.
Forgive me, we're almost out of time, but let me give you the chance then to address the point that I made to you. There are people who agree with what you say, about the climate. They worry about the countryside. They see the vast amount of money you want to spend. They hear your attitude to drugs and to migration. They see the candidates and they say, the Greens have become, have they not, the new party of the radical far left.
Yeah, let's go. Fucking based.
Nick, the people I speak to in East Anglia every day, many of whom have traditionally voted Conservative and feel utterly let down by this government, make very clear that they're looking for a change, for a positive alternative. They're thinking about what the future will be like for their children and grandchildren, and they know that having green voices in Parliament to stand up for the environment, press for the restoration of public services, will push the new government to be bolder, and they're planning to vote for a positive change and for more Green MPs in that next Parliament.
Adrian Ramsey, co-leader of the Green Party in England and Wales, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Next up, on Friday night, the leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Who cares? Why would you give him fucking Friday? Fucking nonsense. Anyway, Nick Robinson's a clown, and I thought that Ramsey did okay. I'd have preferred Carla Denyer, I think, actually, but on hindsight, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Nick is an empty and fatuous person. This is in 2007 article he barely wrote obfuscating drug use by David Cameron. Well, that's not a surprise, yeah. He's garbage. What's this? The Scottish National Party? No, hang on. A candidate for the Scottish Greens in the general election has apologised after making unacceptable jokes about the Glasgow subway. Evan deleted a TikTok which he appeared to compare the public transport system to a libidinous woman. She's a 10, but she's £1. That doesn't seem like anything, really. He said she's cost £4 a ride. Well, that, I mean, it's a stupid joke, isn't it? But I don't know it's that important, really. Anyway, that was really fucking dumb. Nick Robinson's a twat. The Greens are awesome. Vote for the Green Party is all I'll say. Anyway, I promised you some Welsh shit. So let's go. Leader of Plaid Cymru, Rhun ap Iorwerth, who is based enough that I've learned how to sort of at least kind of pronounce his name correctly, even though it's a very odd name to the Anglophone ear. Yeah, doing the question time thing. Now, because it's question time, everybody, it is now time for me to jump off of the YouTubes. I apologise profusely, but I did mention it at the start. If my parasocial secretary, Wayward Historian, wants to spam the link like fuck to the Twitch and try and drag some people over to the Twitch fuck's sake, the Twitch stream. You want me to refresh my what? Hang on. Oh, Rohack. Is this what you've been working on, is it? Okay, hang on 1 second. Okay, it's been refreshed. If you use the thing now, it should work, I think. Yes, I'll be leaving the YouTubes, and so come and say hello on the Twitch. What is this? That is... Yes. History memes. Fuck yes. Fuck yeah. So if you're on YouTube, come and say hello to me on the Twitch, because I'm literally about to switch over in 5, 4, 3, 2